Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. And of course, good morning to Northeast Texas, Southeast Texas, Northeast, Northwest Louisiana, Southwest Louisiana, and all the nooks and crannies receiving the signals from our 100,000 watt transmitter directly from Houston, Texas. Folks, we are going to have a great show for you, of course, as well. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals through the internet, formerly known as ARPANET, created by not the billionaires who are profiting from it right now, but created by you, the American people, the people of the world, the intellect of the individual, the collective intellect of the individual, who's generally stolen from by the few. Anyhow, before we get started, let's go directly to the studio with the geniuses who really make things happen around here.
Well, let one of the geniuses turn off the fan here.
Now we can actually hear ourselves.
Yeah.
Good morning,
It must
Egberto.
be hot. Good morning. How are you doing this morning, my dear brother Howard?
Summer number 2 without an air conditioner in the control room.
Ouch.
So, yeah, we have to depend on this floor fan, and it makes a lot of noise. There we go. Man, it's been a weird morning. Strange things have been happening.
Gremlins.
Yeah, I almost locked myself out of my house.
Ouch.
Fortunately, I had left the door unlocked, so I was able to get back in because I was missing my gate key and my garage door opener. Get here, we're off track on Arnie Arneson because one of the shows didn't load overnight for some reason, and I have no idea why. Very strange things are afoot. It's called the computer system is messing up. That's pretty normal. You know, there's an entire $1 billion a year business built on computer mistakes called IT.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, well, you should know about that. You wrote programs for it.
Oh, yeah.
And when the program does not act right, what happens? Bad things.
The gremlins.
Jack, I don't see any wisdom, man.
Well, I just decided I was going to do Oligarch's Pledge again since we were talking about labor and oligarchs in Egberto's post.
Oh, okay.
Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
Good morning, Jack. I can't wait for your Oligarch's Pledge because you know what, man? That's exactly how I'm starting to build the program today. So shoot her off, my brother.
All right. This is Oligarch's Pledge. I rewrote. I don't know. I rewrote the Pledge of Allegiance to be Oligarch's Pledge. So I pledge allegiance to the corporations of the United Empire of America and to the economy for which it enslaves all peoples, demonizes and devalues them, passes the profit to the elite 1%, with punishment and tyranny for the poor, slackers.
Now, how do I become a one? My mic is on.
How do you become a one?
There we go. How do I become a one percenter? I'm tired of this poverty. I'm tired of this shortages. I'm tired of these prices. I want to become a one percenter too. So how do you do that?
Man, becoming a 1%. Yes, that's for the vast majority of one percenters. You got to do exactly what Jack just said, but you have to do it with a smile, and you have to do it letting people believe that you are in it for them. You're in it for them. But anyhow, look,
it's a con, is what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a con. Well, one of those is running for president, isn't it?
Yeah, yes. One of them is running for the president, and the other one is held in chain. Well, I'm going to go over that in a minute. Listen, guys.
Yes, I know.
No. That's what I'm saying. Actually, you're not derailing the show at all. You are the show. Let me explain. We have learned from birth a certain ideology, and there's nothing wrong with ideology if it does good. There are people who are Christians, right? They follow a certain type of ideology, and that ideology has, for the most part, good virtues that create good citizens by following those virtues. You also have Islam. Islam has similar virtues. It's something, in different ways, that also manages society and ultimately creates a civil society where things work a certain way, and it goes on. People may talk about how different people have different rights based on certain religious values, etc. We shouldn't forget that we are a Christian nation that have yet to give women their full freedom. We're a Christian nation that have yet to give women the highest office of the land, while places that many times we demean, like Pakistan or India or other places, themselves have elected women to lead their countries, respectively. So there's a little bit of humility that we as Americans should have. But, there's also an ideology that is spread economically, right? We teach ourselves a lot of things from birth, from the time things have been hammered in our head about capitalism and freedom and democracy. And we like to use those terms interchangeably. They're not. We love to use those terms interchangeably. I'd like to inform us all that the largest capitalist country in the world is actually a communist country, a country where people have hardly any rights. And that is where, again, China. China is the largest successful capitalist country. You don't hear we say that much because they're also likely the most efficient capitalist country, more efficient so than the United States. And why are they more efficient? Because they're also an autocratic country. An autocratic country doesn't depend on the complexities of having different opinions, and the complexities of people not wanting certain things over the other. Autocratic country is extremely efficient because what the autocrat says is what gets done. And as such, if we decide that changing a particular economic pointer in their capitalist society will make things better, the autocrat just goes ahead and he or she does it. That's not America. America is also a capitalist country, but things change a bit more slowly. And in order for us to have the similar behavior and efficiency of a China, where we get most of our stuff made, because there are a lot of things they don't have to follow because they're an autocratic country, we in America have to mislead our people so that their behavior pro-capitalist of the type of capitalist in China is the same. That's how we can compete with a country that is inherently more efficient than we are. Because remember, the complexity of different thought processes that we have here in the United States, because we're all independent thinkers, doesn't lend itself for the best and most efficient capitalist structure. So in order for us to get to those efficiencies that China has or that other capitalist communist countries have, we have to indoctrinate our own, which is what we've done a great, great job of doing. Indoctrinating our own. Let me give you the different forms of indoctrination. As you all know, one of my pet peeves is healthcare. Now think about it. Our entire healthcare system is a system. It's, yes, a capitalist system. And while it is inefficient for us all, the patients, it is superordinarily efficient for the capitalists. It is extraordinarily efficient for the capitalists. And why so? It is efficient for the capitalists because in the confusion of having health insurance companies, many of them, in the efficiencies of having different hospital systems serving the same thing for the same process of just healing you, there is complexity. People like to say, oh, there's efficiency in having doing things different ways. You don't need a capitalist structure to have different ideas to make things better. It is just you need it in order to transfer your wealth to the few. Examples of the lies that are told to you simply based on ideology. You pay your bills every single month or week, depending on how you pay your bills. If I told you that to pay your bills, I will charge you a premium of anywhere from 18 to 30%, you'll say, are you crazy? You mean if I ask you to write the checks to pay my $1,000 bill, I've got to give you $1,300, and for that you'll pay my bill? Get out of here. But somehow we tell Americans to believe that to pay their healthcare bills, it is okay to have hundreds of insurance companies who each have parasites, meaning the executives and everything, to take your money to do one purpose, one thing, to pay a bill. It's capitalism, baby. It's capitalism. So we take 100 insurance companies that we pay millions of dollars to each of their CEOs, to each of their CFOs, to each of their database managers, to their advertising costs, to their real estate costs, all of that we pay. All of that costs you anywhere between 18 and 30% of paying the bill, when one entity, either a nonprofit or your government, could simply say, well, when the cost of this particular procedure is this, and we just pay it without paying all that overhead. But you've been indoctrinated into believing that that is efficient. That gives you options. You are given the options to choose who's going to screw you. You get the options if it's going to be Aetna, if it's going to be Blue Cross, if it's going, whoever it is, you get the options to choose who screws you. But you get screwed no matter what. And the same thing we learn about employment, right? You learned that our Constitution guarantees contracts, notwithstanding that no contract we've ever signed with the indigenous people have ever been upheld, because when we found natural resources on their land, we simply break the laws, or when we want their land, we simply create the Trail of Tears or the Trail of whatever to stuff them where we don't want to be. But for the right people, we are a land of contracts. So you sign a contract to work, and no matter how productive you are, how intellectual you are to create things, we get a chance to take a piece of your pie, albeit legal, right? We create a patent system. We create all these systems that guarantee profitability, not for the creator, but the patent holder for up to 17 years. And look, I wrote the book called As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, to try to let us understand the farce, the con that we've been under since the inception of our country. And as we moved on with unions, etc., it got better because we slowly take power. Yesterday was Labor Day. And you know what we learned on Labor Day? We learned that a lot of times it just takes work and work and work to make things better. I'm going to continue with labor and the Labor Day in a bit, but since we have a call, I'm going to go to Gonzalo. But folks, I want you to remember this before I take the call. We have been indoctrinated in such a manner that those who attempt to unindoctrinate us, attempt to tell us some truth, is usually met with resistance. Many will hear the things that I say and try to meet it with resistance. But what about? And I'm willing to tackle every single what about. But the one thing we're not going to not tackle is the truth, the verifiable truth. I mean, nothing is hidden from us. It is all there for us to see. We have to want to see it, and we have to want to actually read it. They bet on you when they came out with Project 2025. Notice they put it all out there for you to see, but the bet was you were too stupid to read it. They put out Project 2025, but the bet was you will look at it and assume that if it's there and written by the people you like of your ideology, that somehow it couldn't be as bad as we say that it is. We got to wake up. We got to wake up and realize that we are in it together and should never cede ourselves to the autocrat. Because the ultimate bottom line is, if you like communist China, remember, capitalism has nothing to do with freedom. Capitalism has nothing to do with efficiency, the personal efficiency of the individual, because some of the most efficient and best states for that particular model is, in fact, those like communist China. Gonzalo, welcome to Politics Done Right. And by the way, folks, the telephone number. Bueno, aguanta un ratito. 713-526-5738 is the call-in number. 713-526-5738. I'll take calls before I go on to the labor part. Come on in, Gonzalo.
Okay. Nice conversation. First of all, you are talking about communism, and communism is an abstract concept. So far, there is none of the countries or world divisions that has applied that concept at 100%.
You're absolutely right.
We only have experiments that are hybrid and a mixture of both. So what politicians are trying to do, in this case, the Republicans, is trying to be absolute and say, hey, you want to look like China, or you want to look like Cuba, you want to look like Venezuela, or whatever. And that is completely, bull crap. I mean, there are some people who believe that. On the other hand, you said China, it's the perfect model of capitalism in the sense that they all go one way. And in that sense, we could say that China has been the country that has provided the most to capitalism, because they have utilized or used the labor force at a maximum way to get profit.
Can I stop you right there, Gonzalo? Can I stop you right there? Gonzalo, aguanta un ratito. Let me stop you, because I'd like to commend you for the statement you just made. And you just made an affirmative statement that the default situation of the best form of capitalism looks more like China than it looks like America. And that's why America is devolving into what's occurring by China. Project 2025 turns us into a plausible China. Continue, my brother.
Yeah, and of course, everybody knows when we take absolute decisions, the world and the society pays the price. So, for example, China, with the one-child policy in the 70s, has created a gap in population now, and they are paying for it. Venezuela, by selling and the resources to China, Russia, and all the powers, they owe money, and they have put it in banks in Switzerland and so on and so forth. They have created a huge environmental problem in Venezuela. Of course, they don't talk about that because what they're trying to do is get all the profits for their pockets.
Let me stop you right there. I need to stop you right there, because what I want to do with your excellent prose, Gonzalo, is to give parallels. Okay. Now, you just spoke about what's happening in Venezuela, what Russia and China are doing in Venezuela, which is really messing up Venezuela. You know, first of all, their equipment is in disrepair, and a lot of the fracking, not the fracking, but the way they drill there to protect the layers of under the ground is not done correctly, as such, polluting a lot. Now, let's come here to America. If you go out to West Texas, that is exactly what you find as well. I had one of the people running for Railroad Commission here on my show, who points out about the bubbling that is occurring in West Texas, polluting the groundwater, as all these wellheads that are supposed to have been sealed are now flowing. So the same problems that you're seeing in Venezuela is what we're seeing in West Texas. But the way we are here in the United States of mind... Hold on. Let me finish my statement. Out of sight, if it's out of sight, it doesn't exist. What I'm trying to say here is, whenever we're pointing the fingers, let's realize that in Texas, we run the oil industry as it's done in Venezuela, with not protecting the environment as it should. Continue, my brother.
Yeah, I listened to that program, and it was very interesting. When I talked about the environmental disaster in Venezuela, I'm not only talking about the oil industry. I'm talking about mining. I have talked to Venezuelans that says that Chinese and all the companies that they have bet and they have put their trust in, they're opening big holes in the Amazonia area. They are trying to get all the minerals and things. It's not only about oil. So that's what I refer to. Of course, oil.
I agree.
Yeah. That's all I want to say. I mean, not a single model in this world is perfect. And I think the most perfect models are in Europe, Northern Europe, and England. And that has been done at the expense of the poor countries that they have exploited, and they have gotten their resources for centuries. So we all know that. We all know the history, and thank you very much for your program and for your explanation.
Thank you so kindly, Gonzalo. You opened up a whole lot of a lot of reasons for us to talk about this issue, and so thank you very much, my brother. Appreciate you.
All right. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
All right, folks. If you can call at 713-526-5738 if you want to add to the discussion. 713-526-5738 is the number. All right, let's go ahead and you heard the earlier part of the program when I talked about the most efficient capitalist country being China, and that capitalism has nothing to do with freedom. Capitalism has nothing to do with democracy. Capitalism is best done in an autocratic state. When we look at what Project 2025 is all about, if you look at the recent rulings of the Supreme Court, all these things were meant for minority rule. And minority, I don't mean minority of hue, but I mean by the least amount of people. Given the presidency, autonomy from corruption is one of the first stages of autocratic rule. Given corporation, removing when Congress puts in a rule for a body to function and the Supreme Court removes that body from being able to function and put it into the hands of judges, those are policies that create minority rules. For those who don't quite understand what I just said, in the past, if the Congress passed a law, an agency, a federal agency of experts implement that law. As an example, with the particular court case, if we're putting people on fish, they may say we need to have an expert on fish trawlers to make sure these fish trawlers are not destroying the fish habitat that prevents sustainability. If the Congress didn't specifically say put that person on that boat to do XYZ, the company can sue and make sure that doesn't happen and say, well, you interpreted the law that Congress wrote incorrectly. Let's take it to a judge, and one of these judge panels say yay or nay, minority rule. Earlier on in my work here at KPFT as a host, I did a program where I spoke about how Republicans would control America with minority rule. And I said Republicans. I shouldn't have said Republicans. I should have said Republicans and neoliberals, because a neoliberal Democrat is no better than a Republican politician in general. And what that was is simply to say, let's control the judiciary because it's the only undemocratic portion of our entire governmental system. It's after a judge is placed there, c'est la vie. You need supermajorities to remove them by impeachment, and that is nearly impossible given the dynamics of gerrymandering that further creates minority rule. How does North Dakota have the same amount of senators as California? We've created a country that is not a democratic country. We've created a country that is really ruled by the few. We can mitigate that. And, at Netroots, I interviewed the multi-state compact, the national compact that could alleviate some of these issues. But ultimately, we have to do it. Otherwise, we continue our path to exactly where we're going, which is autocracy and complete indentured servitude, meaning all of you will simply be, as we are approaching right now, antiseptic slaves. Anyhow, yesterday was Labor Day. And by the way, folks, the call-in number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Please don't wait till too long to call in. Anyway, yesterday was Labor Day here in America. It's not May Day. May Day, the rest of the world has Labor Day on May 1st. It's called May Day. We're different. We are America. So we have Labor Day. What is it? The first Monday or so in September. I don't know what it is, but sometime in September we have Labor Day. Bernie Sanders wrote an op-ed that I think is prescient. And he titled it Trade Unionism versus the Oligarchy on Labor Day and every day. And what it's important is to point out in this article is that finally, now, America is at its highest point in the support of labor unions. Remember, I talk about autocracy and what capitalism does. Having labor unions excel, having powerful labor unions is the one combatant against the move to autocracy and oligarchy. Oligarchy meaning controlled by the corporations, etc. Autocratic meaning controlled by the few, by the one autocrat or the group of autocrats, etc., etc., etc. Well, we are at the point now where 70% of Americans support union. Oh my God, the Powell Manifesto is losing its grip on America. The Powell Manifesto is losing its grip. Remember that document that was meant to control your mind, to fool you into believing that which is good for you or that which isn't good for you is good for you? Well, that's one that is supposed to infiltrate colleges, universities, hospitals, churches, and everywhere else to keep pressing in your mind that the way our economic system works is the best that it can, the best that it should. Well, unions are coming strong. Unions are coming on strong. Public approval of unions, according to Bernie Sanders, at 70% is higher today than it has been in decades. Over the last year, major unions like the UAW have won some highly publicized strikes. Many other unions have negotiated trailblazing contracts for their members. Young people at Starbucks and on college campuses are now more involved in labor organizing than ever before. And for the first time in American history, a president of the United States, Joe Biden, walked a picket line with striking workers. And if anybody had a chance to watch Kamala Harris, Joe Biden yesterday in, where were they? I think they were in, I don't remember. I think they were in Detroit. I don't remember where they were. But strong support for the union. Unmitigated support for unions. By the way, when Kamala Harris gets elected, the pressure from the union must not subside. They must pressure her into ignoring the whims of the oligarchy. Because as soon as she's elected, the oligarchy will sweep in. And just like they did with Obama and Obamacare, they will sweep in to get their bigger piece of the pie, which we must not cede to them. But anyhow, it is not an accident to why we are now seeing more militancy and growth in the labor movement. The working people of our country are increasingly aware of the unprecedented level of corporate greed and power we're now experiencing and the outrageous level of income and wealth inequality that exists. I know we talk about that all of the times, and many times people say, it's cliche, we're tired of hearing it. What are we going to do about it? Well, it's about unions. It's about taking your piece of the pie, not asking them or begging them for it, taking it. And how do you take it from the autocrat? You remind them who really has the power. Who really has the power in this country? You see, if you are fooled into believing that they control it all, that is why they don't want collectivism. That is why they don't want unions. Because when unions get together, when the people get together as unions, they realize that ultimately that one CEO with 100 subordinates does not have the power of the people who are actually doing the work, the people who actually have the intellect to invent the things. They are the ones with power. The others are just parasites. And when we come to that realization, which is the fear, which is why the Chamber of Commerce wrote, sanctioned, what's his name? Supreme Court, he was a Democratic Supreme Court justices to write the Powell Memo. The Powell Manifesto. Lewis Powell wrote the memo because the biggest fear is that we educate ourselves and ask the question, why is the CEO making several times what we make when we are the ones that create the product, when our intellect create the designs, when our hands put it to labor? When are we going to realize that statements like, wait a minute, I'll make my money work for me? It makes no sense, because what it says is you're going to let somebody else do the work as you sit your butt down. When are you going to start asking the real question? When the capitalist says, the reason I make so much money is I'm risking my capital. If you really believe in the sanctity of life, if you really believe in all these concepts of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, how can capital be worth more than humanity? How can that person risking their capital be more important than you risking your arm, risking your leg, risking your mind in a job? How can that capital be worth more than what you are risking, which is a part of your own humanity? But that is what you've been taught to believe. And that is why you give them a pass. Well, I'm giving the rich guys a pass. I'm giving the capitalists a pass. I'm giving Trump a pass. He's rich. He made it. No, he didn't. We made it for them. We made it for them. And then we give them the credit? Do you understand the chains your mind has to be in to believe that you believe somebody is worth $1 billion when that billion was made on your back, on your work, on your worth, on your intellect? Do you realize the chains that one's mind has to be in not to go ahead and demand what is yours? You're not asking for a favor. You are not begging for a favor. That's just how it is. But you are asked to believe. You're taught from birth to be a slave. We are taught from birth to be slaves. Not the kind of slaves that the people with my hue were, but an antiseptic form of slavery. And unions are the antidote to that. And for that, we must further fool you into believing there's something wrong with unions. Because while the Chamber of Commerce is the biggest unions for the businesses that take advantage of you, they have a union. Their union go and lobby Congress, the Metallurgical Union, the American Association of this, the American Association of that. Those are all unions. They don't call them unions, but there are different industry groups, different oligarchic groups getting together to get laws passed beneficial to them. Not to you. You are just a cog in the wheel. Are you a secretary? You don't matter. Are you a plumber? You don't matter. Are you a engineer? You don't matter. Are you a doctor? Doctors are getting treated like widgets right now. We are blaming doctors for so much at the hospital. You don't see you have a problem seeing a doctor because they're working the doctors like horses. You can't blame the doctor. The nurses try their best. But my God, the nurses are in trouble. They have so much to do. Folks, it is time. It is time. And like Bernie said, 70% of Americans are now in favor of unions. My only question is, why isn't it 99.9? Let's go to Harry. Come on in, Harry.
Good morning, Professor Economics, Intelligent Professor Egberto Willis. Good morning.
Buenos dias.
Muy bien, hermano. Anyway, those other let's see, 70%. So, let's see, 80, 90, 100. That other 29% needs to wake up. They need to listen to School Days, Spike Lee's movie. Watch that movie. At the end of the movie, when I was talking to my poor friend from Florida, those people need to wake up, like what Fishburne says. But yeah, union. Before I mention, you get into the unions. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden were in the backbone of the steel industry. They were in Pittsburgh. Talking about labor in the steel industry, and the state where the team that I told you about, the teams that I told you that I love, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Pirates, and the Penguins. I follow those teams. But anyway, I'll get into unions. I know you've heard about this, and those hotels like San Francisco and in Seattle. Those people went out on strike because their wages cannot keep up. So kudos to them, because they know that the unions are going to fight for them and get those wages up. And they told those hotel employers, screw you. You're not going to make antiseptic slaves out of us. We're going to get those wages up and be paid livable wages, because we're tired of being a slave and making you profits, and we can barely feed our families, and we can barely make ends meet to pay our bills. So unions are your friend, as I have said on this show many times.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Kudos.
Thank you, Harry. Thank you, Harry. Got to go to Jimmy. You're a good man. You're a good man. Let's go to brother Jimmy. Come on in, Jimmy.
Good morning, Egberto. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, my brother. Talk to me.
Sure. First of all, we are very lucky to live in the United States. I'll give you two examples. In Namibia, in Africa, they're going to kill, there's a shortage of food. They're going to kill 720 animals, including 83 elephants, to eat. Can you imagine that, eating an elephant? That's really sad about their food situation over there. And also now in Venezuela, they've lost nearly 8 million people, more than 25% of their population, due to economic misery and political repression. So Venezuela is another sad country, compared to our wonderful country right here. And I got one more thing. Yesterday, we went to see the movie Reagan. It was sold out at Memorial City, so we went down to the Regal Theater. It's a really, really good movie. Reagan is played by Dennis Quaid, and it tells all about his times as governor and president, and he made friends with Gorbachev. And one of his most famous quotes was, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." And they did tear it down. And that movie brought tears of joy to my eyes several times. It is so good. And so I highly recommend people going to see Reagan.
Thank you very much for that, Jimmy. Let me just do a pushback here. Reagan, there's Reagan, the mystique, and then Reagan, the policy. Like I said, I wrote a book called As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. The reason I wrote that was to do a comparison, not only of presidents and what their policies actually did to the economy. As you know, the results of policies don't occur in necessarily the year that president passed the policies, but in subsequent years. Reagan, there are two Reagans. There's a Reagan of patriotism and there's a Reagan of oligarchy. And let me first say one important factor. Americans ought to love America. I love America. Americans ought to revere their country like French need to revere their country, like England need to revere its country. I agree with that as well. A country that will succeed is a country that can look at it and say, I love the country, and because I love the country, I want to make these changes to make it better. Since the inception of Reagan, we've looked at this country and made it worse. And we can go ahead and categorically look at policy after policy. The policy of supply side economics that never allowed the trickle down after giving the rewards to the top to trickle down to the many. The actual results of income inequality that has grown exponential since Reagan, and all of these are in the charts. These are all truths. Telling these truths doesn't mean one doesn't love their country. Telling these truths says one loves this country and needs to have the changes in this country to ensure that the demise doesn't occur. Because right now we are on a path. Again, those that are living comfortable lives, I don't see it. But those of us who go out there into the field and actually see how the vast majority, and I'm not talking about a plurality, I'm talking about how the vast majority of Americans are living, how Americans have to double up in homes now, how Americans have to make different compromises just to survive day by day. I live in Kingwood, Texas, supposedly a place where you don't see some of the things that you're starting to see. People doubling up in homes. All these things are starting to happen. And it didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened because of policy. And what things that I promote here is a love of America that can say we can only love our country if we're willing to make the changes to make it good, not for some, but great for all. Anything else, Jimmy, before I go to Derek?
One more thing. I've got two grand nephews here in town. We had dinner with them recently. They're living, three of them are sharing a house, and they don't even have a refrigerator. Can you imagine living without a refrigerator?
There you go.
One of them, I'll never be able to buy a house, because.
And that is policy. That is policy. One of the main policies right now coming out of Kamala Harris is we realize that stuff about homes right now. So what do? We create policies to solve the problem, to mitigate the policies of the past. Thank you very much, my brother, Jimmy. You keep being a good guy. Let's go to Derek.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jimmy. Derek, come on in, brother. Okay, Derek, you're on now. Good morning, sir.
All right. I just want to say, man, I appreciate every morning when you come on and you take the first 15 minutes of your show to lay everything out. I like that, man. Keep on doing that.
Thank you, brother.
I just want to say that Labor Day, to me, is a day that needs to be a day of reflection on how much of a working slave we have become as a nation. Wake the hell up, America. Can't you see how much of a working slave you are, and then you satisfied with one day off compared to the rest of the 365 days? They have worked the hell out of us here. And because when you look at some of the poorest nations, they have armies, they have a military that they have to deal with. You have some people that whenever they get, some of their workers get sick, they give them a whole month off to recover with pay. And some, depending on how worse it is, they give them a whole year off with pay. But here, you try to be off for a month, especially with the jobs to where they don't pay you for the day that you're out. Wake the hell up, America. You ain't got it that good.
Derek, thank you. I mean, let me tell you, they like many of the corporate structure, many in the oligarchy would want you to believe that Americans are not hard worker or they're sloughing off. And then they use a couple of people that are sloughing off as the example to paste on, to project onto the rest of America, when the slough offs are really the ones in the office, right? The parasites are really the ones up top most of the times. But here's the funny thing. You go on the streets right now, brother Derek, and you see Americans are hard workers. They are on that streets in the traffic every day at the bus stops. I don't care if you're in the ghettos. I don't care if you're in the barrios. I don't care if you're in Appalachia. People are hard working people. Right. We work more than any other country in the world. And you know what? It's proven that the kind of work doesn't give you the happiness. There are a lot of countries where the people are a lot poorer, but they're a hell of a lot happier. Thank you very much, brother Derek.
Right. Thank you.
Have a great day.
Don't forget, Egberto.
Yes.
Yes. Let's not forget. Coming up, we need to really force the issue dealing with these insurance companies. It's too much money, man. People just went through this hurricane. They can't afford to get their roofs and property fixed up because they done put these premiums up. I mean what they call it?
The deductibles. The deductibles are so high that the insurance doesn't pay anything. Yes, I get it. Let me just say, Derek. Thank you for Derek. Thanks for bringing that up. I need to cover that as well to show the fraud that the insurance. You know what I did the other day, Derek? I added up all the different insurance I had: car insurance, home insurance, life insurance, umbrella insurance. The thousands of dollars that I pay every year. I mean, thousands of dollars every year in insurance, and get nothing for that. And the one time I've had to use it when a tree fell, when it was 1% of, I think at that time it was 1% of the value of the home. They said, okay, yes, it qualifies, but it's 1% of the home. Therefore, you pay it all. Look, you nailed it. Thank you, Derek. We'll talk another time. I got to get to Moses, and I'm running out of time. Moses, come on in, my sister.
Good morning, my brother. ¿Cómo estás?
Good morning. ¿Cómo estoy bien? Háblame, corazón.
Well, let me say this quickly. People are beginning to open their eyes. They are beginning to understand the power they have as a union. When people are squeezed, they will rise. When people cannot find food, when their families are suffering, when they look up and they see the foot of the oligarchs on their neck, their rage will rise, just as all the people's revolution of the past that rose up against the oligarchs and pushed them out and regained control of the proletariat of the people.
Amen. That's amen. Right. Love you, girl. Love you. Love you. Thank you for that. You have a wonderful day, sis. All right. Let's go to Brother Ray, my Ray from South Park. How you doing, brother?
Good morning, Egberto. Good morning. Look, I got a short point I wanted to make. I woke up this morning with Axel F. Beverly Hills Cop on my mind. And the reason I say that is because obviously we have the top cop from California running against the top felon. I wanted to say this, though, with that in mind. You know, when I think of that movie, I think about that scene when he was at the hotel and he put the bananas in the tailpipe.
In the tailpipe, yeah.
And, you know, I see Donald Trump is doing the thing again where, you know, he starts to, you know, shift to the left of his opponent with the, you know, no tax on tips and, you know, I'm going to go and I'm going to support IVR, even though Project 2025 strictly forbids any type of reproductive rights. So I say this to say, America, just like Axel did to those cops, you know, at the hotel, he ordered them the lavish lunch, the lavish dinner with all of the fixings and stuff. And they're like, wow, this is a great dinner. I don't know why we got this food. And then when he's ready to go make his move, he done already stuffed the bananas up the tailpipe. So when they try to follow him, they done stalled out. And that's basically what Trump is doing. He's trying to produce this lavish vision of what he's going to do for America. Meanwhile, he's stuffing bananas up the tailpipe. So, America, don't fall for the banana up the tailpipe. That's my message today.
Thank you very much, Ray. Well said, and great analogy from Axel Foley. Let's go to Brian. Come on in, my brother, Brian.
Good morning. How is everyone today?
We're fine. Talk to me, my friend.
Okay. Who had a higher reemployment rate, Ronald Reagan or FDR? To save time, I'm going to tell you it was Ronald Reagan. Okay.
I don't know what that means.
Okay. Reagan put more people back to work than FDR did.
That is a silly comparison. There's a different amount of Americans back then. The rate, if you want to make a better comparison, compare Reagan with Clinton. That's a more accurate comparison. And there's no comparison there. Clinton produced over 7 million more jobs than Reagan did. So come on, Brian, let's get right with the numbers. The one thing when you call into this program, you're not calling a fool. Okay? We're talking facts here. Go ahead, talk. Speak, my brother.
Okay. Now, we don't have to work for the man. Your caller forgets about what is called capitalism, free market society. We don't have to work.
No. Again, you're not talking to a fool. Capitalism and free market. Capitalism. I have my own business. Capitalism and free markets are not the same. Free enterprise is not the same. Capitalism, sir, stop for a second. Let's not fool Americans. Capitalism is a segmentation of an economic system such that those who actually do the work are abstracted from those who actually produce. I mean, those who work abstracted from those who control. That's capitalism. Don't be fooled yourself by what you're being told. Free enterprise is not capitalism. Go ahead.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me that answer. That is impossibly ridiculous. You can start your own business.
Starting your own business is not capitalism. Capitalism, by definition, has nothing to do. I mean, in communist China, you can start your own business.
No, you cannot, sir. No, you cannot, sir.
I am not asking you. I do business with a private entity in China. Don't tell me you can't do it. I do business with a private entity in China. Thank you.
Okay, you're totally wrong on the free enterprise system. Now you can't afford a house. How many millions of illegal aliens are here? Tens of millions of illegal aliens, and they're getting housing.
Brian, you're wrong, but Brian, we're doing what we are supposed to do by international law. You see, you guys are so misinformed. International law, if somebody comes over here for asylum, what's what most of the people who come over say they're for, then we do what's the humane thing to do. You can try to spin it any way to go ahead and make the poor people of America feel like somehow these illegal aliens, as you call, are getting benefits that they're not. That is not the way you solve the problem. But I got to go. I'm at 6:55. Go ahead real quickly. All right. It looked like I cut off early. But anyway, let me go back to the studio real quick.
Oh, nothing here. Very lively show again. And Jack, what you got? Looks like you got some notes here.
No, it's just we only have like 30-something days to get registered to vote. So people, get your stuff together, get registered, because we need to make a showing in this election cycle.
Oh, you can count on it that I'll be down there at the voting.
Probably, man.
I might do early voting.
Yeah.
Where you can vote
hey, Jack.
you want.
Yeah, Jack, thank you for reminding me for that. And please remind me to do that every single day of those 30-something days. Because here in Texas, we took a 1.1 million yesterday, and we were still on the roll, so we're okay. Anyway, folks, I want to tell you, love you all. Every single one of my caller, all love for you. Every single one of my listeners, all love for you. Our great studio, love for you. Anyway, the entire program that we should have covered is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. There's a great video on that's going viral right now that you want to listen to or watch. Anyway, folks, got to get out of here. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out! Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.